सर एंड हो गया लाइव शायद. चलो. Yes, good evening everyone. Yashwati, Rajesh, Divya, good evening. Please check, am I audible? Yes, good evening everyone. Yashwati, Rajesh, Divya, good evening. Please check, am I audible? Yes, Nandini, hello. Okay, thanks for the confirmation, Rajesh. Yes, Ayush, good evening and good evening everyone. Just one more minute and then we'll start. Okay, let's start. So in the previous session हम लोगों ने start किया था variable overhead variances. Previous session we covered variable overhead variances, right? So what you have learned till date is material, then we have learned labor, and we have also learned variable overheads. Yes, we have learned material, labor and variable overheads. So these are the 3 points which we have already covered. Everything was same, right? So material is divided into how many parts? Cost is divided into price and usage. Usage is again divided into how many parts? 2 parts, mix and yield. Labor again we started with cost, but this time it's divided into total 3 parts. Total 3 parts, which is rate. The price change into rate. Next is idle time. And the third is efficiency. Instead of usage, we use the word efficiency. Yes, Devya. After that, efficiency converted into mix and yield. Efficiency converted into mix and yield, right? This is the point which we studied yesterday. And for variable overheads, we have started with cost. Cost is divided into 2 parts. What are those parts? In material we use priced, in labor we use rate, and in variable overheads we are using the word expenditure. And the next part will become efficiency. Yes, yesterday there was last comment before ending. Actually I just read and I ended the stream. The expenditure is also known as budget. So someone asked me what is variable overhead budget. So expenditure itself is known as the budget. So it is variable overhead budget variance, right? It is only the expenditure. So this is what we have studied till date, right? Were these the variable expenses? All of these? Were these the variable cost? The answer is yes. These all were variable cost. And now we are studying a new part, which is the fixed overhead part, right? So this is completely new. Please pay attention. This is completely new. This will not work on the tables which we have made. This is a separate part. So we have budgeted and we have actuals. Budget and actuals. And what I have is overhead. Overheads. Let's say I budgeted for 4 lakh. And I thought that I'll produce 50,000 units. I'll produce 50,000 units. But what actually happened is, I spent rupees 5,20,000. I spent rupees 5,20,000. Actually, what happened is 5,20,000, but I made, let's say, 52,000 units. I made 52,000 units, right? And now, if I ask you whether it is under absorption or over absorption, can any one of you tell me the answer? Under absorption or over absorption? Now, this is not the variances, right? I'm just asking you over its chapter, the one which you actually did in your CMA Inter Group 1. Yes, please tell me, is it under absorption or is it over absorption? Yes, I want the answer quick. Under absorption or over absorption? Under absorption with the amount? With the amount? What is the amount? Over, Kirtana, no. Okay, first of all, everyone is giving me wrong answers. It is not over absorption. The case is under absorption. First point. Can anyone give me the amount? Can any one of you give me the amount? Okay, some is telling over, some is telling under. Okay, so I'm telling you that this is completely under absorption. This is not at all over absorption. Yes. Don't give me units. Don't give me units. Okay. Kirtana 1,04,000. Okay. Was it 1,04,000? Let me check first. Okay, 1,04,000 is the correct answer. Okay, so please have a look. Please have a look. Exactly kya hota hai exactly. So first of all, what we do is we take a recovery rate that is known as the overhead absorption rate, right? So it was something like this. I will spend rupees 4 lakh and produce 50,000 units. This is what I budgeted, right? This is not the units made. This is the budgeted data, right? The budget is always made on the first day. I thought of that I will spend rupees 4 lakh and I will be able to produce 50,000. That means per unit kitna rate ho gaya? It is 4 lakh divided by 50,000. It is 8 per unit. That means what is the absorption? It is 8 per unit. 8 rupees hum maan ke chal rahe the. This is the expenditure which we assume that it will incur, 8 rupees per unit. That means if I am making 52,000, what expenditure should have been done? 52 into 8 will give me 4,16,000. That means 4,16,000 should have been made. But actually you spent 5,20,000. Can I say you have spent more? Yes. इसको हम बोलते हैं absorbed. इसको हम क्या बोलते हैं? Absorb. These are the overheads absorbed. That means this should have been actually done, but you have spent rupees 5,20,000, which is more, right? And therefore this is loss of 1,04,000, and loss is always considered as under absorption. This is not over absorption, but this is under absorption. In short, adverse. Remember yesterday when I was teaching you variable overheads, at that time I told you the cost variance itself indicates whether it is under absorption or over absorption. So if the answer is adverse, it calls for under absorption. If the answer is favorable, it calls for over absorption, right? So in this case, the loss is 1,04,000, and this itself is known as the cost variance. This itself is known as the cost variance. That is the fixed overhead cost variance, right? So how did I calculate this? So please check the presentation, how I am presenting this data, right? So first of all, what I'll write over here is the RR. What is RR? RR is the recovery rate. So it is 4 lakh divided by 50,000. How much is the answer? It is 8 per unit. It is rupees 8 per unit, right? 8 per unit was the assumed expense. This was the absorbed expense, which I was knowing that 8 rupees per unit kharcha hota hi hai. It is 8 per unit always we incur, right? If it was 8 per unit for 52, how much you should have spent? It is 4,16,000, but actually you spent 5,20,000, and therefore it incurs 1,04,000 loss, and this loss is known as under absorption, or else I will name this as fixed overhead cost variance, right? Fixed overhead cost variance. Okay, Divya, I'll explain it once again. So this is the expense which you should have been made, 52 into 8. So I'm writing over here fixed overhead cost variance. Fixed overhead cost variance. Again, कैसे हुआ एक बार फिर से ध्यान दीजिए. It is 4 lakh divided by 50,000. 4 lakh divided by 50. That means, can I say 8 per unit was the expense? Per unit you should have spent rupees 8 only, right? But actually you have made 52,000 units. That means the total expenditure which you should have incurred is 4,16,000. इतना माना हुआ खर्चा था बॉस, 4,16,000 तो आना ही चाहिए था. 4,16,000 was the absorbed expense, right? But actually what happened? Actually you spent 5,20,000. That means you incurred a loss. Why did you spend extra? Extra is a loss, right? Extra is a loss, and if loss, it is known as under absorption. So how did you calculate this? How did you calculate this? So please pay attention. And fixed overhead is something which obviously it needs a bit of time to analyze. It will not be covered in one question. I have to take 3 to 4 questions, and then you will be able to make a grip on this fixed overhead. Okay, so please pay attention. So fixed overhead variance, how did I calculate? So please ध्यान दीजिए. It is 52 into 8. It is 52,000 into 8. इतना होना चाहिए था. This should have been made, but actually, what is the expense you made? It is 5,20,000. So did you spend 1,04,000 extra? Yes. Extra means, can I say it is a loss? Yes. और इसी को कहा जाता है under absorption. You don't have to write the word under absorption. This is what I am teaching you right now, just for extra knowledge, because sometimes they might give you absorption rates, right? So it is 1,04,000. Okay. After that, what is this known as? What is this bracket known as? This is known as overheads absorbed. Absorbed means, what is the expense I was expecting? 4,16,000 was I was expecting, because 8 rupees per unit is the expected expense, which I am assuming that 8 rupees to aana hi chahiye, right? And what is this 520? What is this 520? This is the actual overheads. This is the actual overheads, right? So this is the table. तो पहला variance हम कैसे निकालेंगे? It is 52,000 into 8 and minus 5,20,000, right? So I have made this O and U. After that, I have to make D and H. What is D and H? I will explain you later. But first, we have to calculate 3 variances. So the keywords are O, U, D, H. O, U, D, and H. We always write in this order: O, U, D, H. And I'm telling you, you have to follow this order. It will be very easy for you to analyze the questions. So always check this order: O, U, D, and H, right? First is the budgeted data, then actual data, and what column you have to make is the RR. RR is recovery rate, right? Recovery rate is also known as absorption rate, right? Okay, moving ahead. This 1,04,000 is divided into 2 parts. This 1,04,000 is divided into 2 parts. The first is fixed overhead expenditure variance. Fixed overhead expenditure variance. Now this is the simplest of all the overheads. Of all the variances, this is the simplest. That is nothing but taking the difference of these two. Taking the difference of these two. What is the budget expenditure I gave you? 4 lakh. But how much did you spend? 520. Can I say you spent 1,20,000 extra? Yes. If you are spending 120 extra, can I say this is adverse for me? I asked you to make an expenditure of only 4 lakh. Why are you spending 520? How much extra did you spend? Extra expenditure, it is 1,20,000. Now this is nothing but budgeted overheads minus actual overheads. So what is the expense? 4 lakh. This was the given budget, right? I gave you 4 lakh to spend, but actually how much did you spend? 520. Can I say you have spent 1,20,000 extra, which is nothing but the loss for me, right? And now matching the equation, 1,04,000 is adverse, but 1,20,000 is over adverse here. So can I say the next variance should be 16,000 favorable? I know what the answer is, right? 120 and 16. So this is the answer, but what is the next answer? What is the variance known as? This variance is known as the volume variance. What is known as the volume variance? That is FOH volume. Now please pay attention, volume. यहाँ से कुछ अलग होगा. बेटा कहने से volume means units. Volume mean what? Units. And I have given you the answer, right? Units का difference आएगा. Units का difference आएगा. And standard always comes first. So we have to take the standard, but instead of standard, I'll use the word budget this time. Units. And please pay attention. यहाँ से कुछ ऐसा होगा. The answer will get reversed. Reverse मतलब क्या? The favorable will become adverse. The adverse will become favorable. Why? I'll tell you the logic also, right? First of all, units. Just try to analyze what should be the formula. Can I say units ka difference lena chahiye? We have to take the difference of units, right? This is what I taught you in material variable over its labor also, right? So volume means units. Units ka difference lena chahiye. So it will be budgeted units. It will be budgeted units minus actual units is the formula. Budgeted units minus actual units into recovery rate per unit. Have I calculated this? Just check. So budgeted units is 50,000 and actual units is 52,000. So I'll write over there 50,000 and 52,000 into what was the recovery rate? 8. The recovery rate was 8. And now if you check, you are getting the answer as 50 minus 52 is minus 2,000 into 8 will give you 16,000 minus my answer. You are getting minus 16,000, but I will say this is not adverse for me, this is favorable for me. Now think of a situation. I asked you to make 50,000 units. But what actually you did, you made 52,000. Now you only think, is it favorable situation for me? The answer is yes. I asked you to make 52,000, but you are making even more units, right? You are making more units. Can I say this is a favorable situation for me? Yes. So 50 minus 52, although I am getting the answer as minus, I will write the answer as favorable, and that's why I wrote the answer as reverse the gear. यहाँ से आगे पूरा उल्टा चलेगा, पूरा reverse लिखना है. The favorable will become adverse and the adverse will become favorable. This is the point, right? This is the point. So इस तरह हमें ये करना पड़ता है. क्या यहां तक सबको समझ में आ रहा है क्या? Is everyone getting this point? Please check. Volume means units, and from volume we will change it. That is favorable will become adverse, and adverse will become favorable, right? If you notice one thing, I have just calculated O and U. O is overheads, U is units. Only that two figures, and I actually calculated 3 variances over there. Yes, is everyone getting this answer? Okay, chali, moving ahead. Now, this volume is divided into 3 parts. Actually, there are 4 parts. 4th part I'll teach you later. That is not very important, but 3 parts are very important. So please pay attention. So this is divided into 4 parts. The first part is calendar. That is FOH calendar variance. FOH calendar. Now what is calendar? But can I say calendar means day wise, right? Calendar means what? Day wise. So I'll come to the table. Please pay attention. I'll come to the table and I will ask you what are the budgeted days and what are the actual days. So I gave you 25 and 23 example. I gave you 25 and 23. Okay. So the rule is, what is the budgeted answer? Recovery. It is 4 lakh divided by 25. Will give me the recovery rate per day. So it is 4 lakh divided by 25. This will give me 16,000 per day. Recovery rate will be 16,000 per day. Point to be noted, recovery rates are always on budget, not on actuals, right? So it will be 4 lakh divided by 25. Can I say the answer is 16,000 per day? That means आपका 16,000 रुपए खर्चा एक दिन का लगता है. You are spending rupees 16,000 per day, right? Okay. As the name indicates calendar, can I say day wise? Again, I'll stick to my rules. I will stick to my rules. Can I say the rules are standard minus actual? First we take standard and then we take actual. So I'll take budgeted days minus actual days into into, can I say answer days mein hai beta? The answer is in days. So we'll write the recovery rate per day. Per day, right? So what are the budgeted days? 25. I asked you to work for 25 days in a month, but what you are doing, you are working only for 23 days in a month. Can I say you are actually wasting 2 days for me? You are wasting 2 days for me, right? I gave you the budget to work for 25 days in a month, but actually you are working only for 23 days. Can I say you are actually making a loss for me? Yes, although the answer is positive, but we will write negative, adverse, right? So it's a loss of 2 days. 2 days into 16,000. You actually have made a loss for 32,000. Although the answer is positive, but you are writing negative. If you check, is the point volume? क्या आप वॉल्यूम का डिवाइड कर रहे हैं बेटा? यस, क्या वॉल्यूम से गाड़ी रिवर्स हुई थी? यहां से हमने रिवर्स किया था, राइट? वी हैव मेड द रिवर्सल फ्रॉम वॉल्यूम. इज इट द वन ऑफ द पार्ट ऑफ वॉल्यूम? द आंसर इज यस. सो दिस रूल विल अप्लाई टू ऑल द variances which will be solving. The favorable will become adverse and the adverse will become favorable. This is the point, right? So we have got calendar variance. We have got calendar variance, right? Okay, moving ahead. After that, two very important. First point is capacity variance. Fixed overhead capacity, right? And now it's time to check for the table again. And now is the table, right? I told you O, U, D, H. What is O? O is overheads. U is units. D is days. D is days. And you can easily recognize H is hours. H is hours, right? H is hours. So यहाँ पे hours. Let's say 1 lakh hours, right? 1 lakh hours. And actually you were working for like let's say 1,10,000 hours. Okay, 1,10,000 hours. Okay, so what is the budget? It will be 4 lakh divided by 1 lakh. 4 lakh divided by 1 lakh. So it comes to rupees 4 per hour. Rupees 4 per hour. So this is the table which I make actually in parts. First of all, I only calculate this two, O and U. I only want O and U, and I will give you 3 variances: cost, expenditure, volume, right? Volume is divided into 3 more parts. After that, I will extend my table to D and H. D is days and H is hours, right? So I'll make the table, and this is what I have got. Recovery कैसे निकालते हैं बेटा? It is 4 lakh divided by 50,000, 4 lakh divided by 25,000, and 4 lakh divided by 1 lakh. So these are the recovery rates. Okay, these are the recovery rates. Yes, audio seems perfect. Okay, moving ahead. Now, what is capacity? How will you check whether there is a proper capacity or not? So it is by comparing the hours and days. Listen, there is a difference between capacity and there is a difference between efficiency. I'll explain you what is the difference, right? What is the difference? So the rule is, I asked you to sit for a day. I asked you to sit for 1 day, like 1 day is nothing but, let's say, 8 hours, example, right? And study 8 questions. And study 8 questions. That means I told you to, you have to come tomorrow, you have to sit right in front of me, you have to work for 8 hours, like you have to study for 8 hours, and you have to complete 8 questions, right? This is what I have given to you. This is the budget, right? You came tomorrow, yes, you will come, and actually what happened, you worked for like 10 hours. Continuously you were sitting over there, and you were sitting for like 10 hours. Can I say you are working more than your capacity? आपकी capacity 8 hours की थी, right? You are working for more than your capacity. That means if I'm checking the capacity, I'm checking 1 day and hours, right? 1 day and hours. I'm comparing the hours. That means 8 hours का था, but you were actually sitting for 10 hours. You have worked more than your capacity. I'm using the word capacity, right? So what I'm comparing, can I say I'm comparing the day and the hours? In 1 day you were sitting for 10 hours, right? And now what exactly happened? You were sitting over here, you were sitting, but actually you covered only 7 questions. Can I say you were actually sitting more than your capacity, but you did not work efficiently? You did not work efficiently, because if you are sitting for 10 hours, you would have completed 10 questions then. It is 1 question 1 hour, right? 1 question 1 hour. If you are studying for 10 hours, you should have completed 10 questions. Why did you complete only 7 questions? That means you have not worked effectively. Effectively के लिए हम क्या कर रहे हैं? What are we comparing? Can I say I am comparing the questions? In short, units. To check the efficiency, what are the 2 things I am comparing? Can I say I am comparing the hours and the units? How much hours did you actually spend and how much hours did you actually, how much units did you actually made, right? These are the 2 points. Okay. So यहाँ पे capacity. What is capacity? How to compare capacity? I will say hours and days. Compare the hours and days, right? Please pay attention. Now there is something extra to it. Hours and days, right? So what I'll do is, I'll write the sentence, standard hours in actual days. I just wrote like this, standard hours in actual days, right? And now I'll make a box over here and I'll write the answer budget and actual. Always the 4th is the blank column, that is question mark. So basically what I'm doing, if you remember, I used to make a table. The center table was standard comparable. Standard comparable is this table. Standard comparable is this table. So I'm not making a table. I'm just making a working note over here only, right? So it is standard hours minus actual hours, right? Capacity I will compare by hours, by comparing the hours, right? It is standard hours minus actual hours, but I cannot write standard directly. I will compare in actual days, right? And what you have to write is, go reverse now. You write days over here and hours over here. Days and hours, right? I'll go to the table and I'll just check the data. First of all, what are the days? Days, how many days are there? Just check how many days are there. 25 and 23 days are there. Okay, 25 and 23. I'll write over there days 25 and 23, right? And what is the hours? Budget hours. Budget hours is 1 lakh. Budget hours is 1 lakh. So I'll go over there and I'll write over there 1 lakh. Always the 4th column is, 4th amount is question mark, right? And what I have to do is, I have to just cross multiply. So let's check. It's 1 lakh divided by 25 into 23. That means 92,000. कितना है? 92,000. Minus actual hours. Actual hours. Just check actual hours कितना है बेटा? How many actual hours are there? It is 1,10,000. I'll write 1,10,000 over there. I'll write 1,10,000 over there. Right? That means what the question says. I asked you to work 1 lakh hours in 25 days. Right? This was given. It was given. I asked you to, you have to come for 25 days and you have to work for like 1 lakh hours totality. But actually came only for 23 days. That means comparatively you should have and only worked for 22 hours. Right? अगर आप 23 दिन बैठते हो, 2 दिन कम बैठते हो, if you are working for 2 less days, obviously you should have not worked for 1 lakh. You should have worked less for 2 hours, 2 days, right? 2 days का कितना होता है? तो 8,000 होता है. That means you should have worked only for 92,000. But actually you came and you came only for 23 days, but you actually worked for like 1,10,000 hours. Can I say you were sitting more than your capacity because for 23 days you should have worked only for 92 hours, 92,000 hours, right? So you are working more than your capacity. You are working more than your capacity. So can I say this is a good thing for me? Because for 23 days you should have only sit for 92,000 hours, but you are actually spending 1,10,000 hours. You are working more than your capacity is a favorable situation for me. The answer is yes. So यहाँ पे कितना difference आ रहा है? What is the difference? Can I say 18,000? Again, am I comparing the hours? Yes. So I have to take the recovery rate per hour into recovery rate per hour. And what was the recovery rate per hour? Think of check the amount. Last point. Recovery rate per hour was 4 rupees. So I'll just multiply by 4. I'll just multiply by 4. And now what I'm getting is 72,000. But can I say this is a favorable situation for me? Although answer is negative, but I will say it is favorable because you are actually working more than what was asked. If you are working for 23 days, you should have worked only for 92,000. But you are actually working for like 1,10,000 hours. You are working more than your capacity, right? So it is 72,000 favorable. Capacity is always compared between hours and days, right? I hope this is the point and this point is very clear. And the last point, again, efficiency is again the same thing, right? and you don't have to learn this thing, okay, you don't have to learn this thing. 2 questions with me and all the concept, you know, the pen will automatically start writing. Next is efficiency. Next is efficiency, right? Efficiency variance. Again, efficiency कैसे compare करते हैं? How do we compare efficiency? I just told you. You are just sitting right in front of me for like 1,10,000 hours, but actually are you working for like that capacity? जैसे मैं example दिया था अभी. You came, I asked you to sit for 8 hours, right? But you came and sat for 10 hours. You actually sat for 10 hours, right? That means you are working more than the capacity. But for 10 hours, you should have completed 10 questions, right? For 10 hours, you should have completed 10 questions, but actually you complete only 7 questions. Can I say you are not working effectively? Yes. So efficiency will be compared by comparing units and hours, right? So it will be standard units. It will be standard units minus actual units. Again, I am taking standard units minus actual units, but in actual hours. So if you check, I just wrote this sentence like this: standard units in actual hours, standard units in actual hours, right? And again, I'll make a table: budget, actual. This fourth will be question mark. And now what will I write? I'll write reverse over there. I'll write hours and then units. I'll write reverse over there, hours and units, right? Let's go to the table and check the values. First of all, I need the hours. What are the hours? Hours are 1 lakh and 1,10,000. I'll go over there and I'll write over there 1 lakh and 1,10,000. Okay, 1 lakh and 1,10,000 units. I'll go to the top line. Units kitna tha beta budget mein? Units kitna tha? It was 50,000. Okay, I'll write over there 50,000. 50,000 and just cross multiply now. It's 1 lakh divided by 50,000 into 1 lakh, sorry, 50,000 into 1,10,000 divided by 1 lakh. So this will give me 55,000, right? That means I should have produced 55,000 units, but actually I have made only 52,000 units. I have made only 52,000 units, right? That means the time I have spent in factory, in that time I should have actually produced 55,000 units, but actually what you have done, it is only 52,000. That means, can I say you have actually produced 3,000 less? So it is not a favorable situation for me, right? Although the answer comes to positive, but I will write the answer in negative, that is adverse, right? Into recovery rate per unit, because I am comparing units over there, right? So I'll take the recovery rate per unit. And what was the recovery rate per unit? If you check, per unit was the first point, right? Per unit was how much? It was rupees 8. I'll just multiply by 8. I'll just multiply by 8. So this will give me the answer as 24, but I will say this 24 is not at all a favorable situation of me. I should have actually worked and produced 55,000 units, but you actually made only 52,000 units, right? So 24,000 is the adverse point for me. Yes, yes, exactly. So please check, is the answer getting matched? So it is 32,000 adverse plus 24,000 adverse. Total adverse is 56,000 and favorable is 72,000, which is giving me 16,000 as favorable, which is the answer, right? This is the answer. So the two important points in this are only the last two answers, which is the capacity and which is the efficiency. Yes, is the point clear to everyone? Is the point clear to everyone? Please tell me. Jaldi jaldi bataiye so that we can proceed ahead. Okay, then let's move ahead and we'll make one more question. So I'm giving you the data. This is budgeted, this is actual, Capacity. This is capacity. Capacity में we are actually comparing the R's. Okay, Divya, not an issue. I'm taking one more question and I'll explain you once again. Okay. So पहले हम क्या करते हैं, पहले वो तीन variances निकाल लेते हैं, budget and actuals. This is the data given. Budget, actual and RR. Okay. So this is O, this is U. This is the format. The question will be, diversified. वो थोड़ा break करके देंगे, इधर उधर कुछ भी देंगे. What I have to write is in my format. The format is OUDH, right? O is overheads, O is overheads, and U is units. This is what I have. I want the data, overheads and units, right? Let's say the overhead is 6 lakh, but you actually spent 8 lakh. I asked you to spend 6 lakh, but you actually spent 8 lakh, right? Units were like, let's say 80,000, and units were like 85,000. Okay. So first of all, I'll calculate the budgeted recovery rate. It is 6 lakh divided by 80,000. So it is 6 lakh divided by 80,000. It will give me 7.5. 7.5 per unit. It will give me 7.5 per unit. Please check. 7.5 aa raha hai sabka? Yes. Okay. So after 7.5, what is the first thing? I have to calculate three variances, right? What is the first variance? इसको हम बोलते हैं overheads absorbed. 85,000 into 7.5. This is the expense which actually should have been made. इतना होना चाहिए था. It is 6,37,500, but you are actually spending 8 lakh. That means you are spending more than that. There is a complete loss for me, right? There is a complete loss for me, a loss of 162,500, and इसी को हम बोलते हैं under absorption, या फिर आप बोल सकते हो fixed overhead cost variance, right? So we'll write over there. First point, fixed overhead cost variance. Fixed overhead cost variance. The word is cost. Okay. So it is कितना यूनिट्स था वहां पे? 85,000. Yes. Into how much? 7.5. This minus actual expenditure कितना था? 8 lakh. Actual expenditure was 8 lakh. So it was 85,000 into 7.5, which comes to 637,500 minus 8 lakh. That means you have spent more and you are spending 162,500 more. This is not at all a favorable situation for me. This is adverse, and इसी को हम क्या बोलते हैं? Under absorption. We say this is under absorption. Right? This is the first point. Again, this is divided into two more parts. What is the first part? The first part is known as the expenditure variance. And this will give me fixed overhead expenditure variance. Again, this is the easiest one. Just go to the table and check the difference of the overheads. If I check, I asked you to spend 6 lakh, but you actually spent 8 lakh. Can I say you have spent 2 lakh extra, which is not at all a favorable situation for me, right? So this is nothing but budgeted overheads minus actual overheads. This is the simplest one. So I asked you to spend 6 lakh, but you have actually spent 8 lakh. That means you are incurring a loss of 2 lakh rupees for me. So यहाँ तक the situation was very normal. जैसे हम चलते थे, material, labor, variable overheads, fixed overheads, positive answer आया तो favorable, negative आया तो adverse, right? This is what we actually do. Now comes the part volume, and volume will reverse all the situation. So this comes to volume, right? Volume, FOH, volume variance, and volume will be for units, right? And can I say it will reverse the situation for me, right? Again, the formula was units, right? Units, standard always comes first. So this will give me budgeted units minus actual units into what? Into recovery rate per unit. So check, what were the budgeted units? How many units did I ask you to make? If you check the table, how many units did I ask you to make? I asked you to make 80,000 units only. But what you did, you actually made more, which is obviously a favorable situation for me, right? I asked you for 80,000, but you are actually producing 85,000. That means 5,000 is extra units making, right? And extra 7.5 के हिसाब से benefit होगा. So यहाँ पे it will be 80,000 I asked you to make, but actually you made 85,000. Obviously you are making 5,000 extra units into 7.5 into 7.5 will give me the answer as 37,500. Okay, is this favorable? Please check. 80,000 minus 85,000 into 7.5. This will give me 37,500. As although the answer is negative, but I told you, you check the reverse sign over there, right? You check the reverse sign because this is actually a favorable situation for you. So यहाँ तक if you check, I only check only the three points, right? Only 2 points, sorry. Overheads and units. Overheads and units. Oh, that is O and U. I did not check for hours, I did not check for days, I am just checking O and U, that's it. Okay, and now comes the D point, that is D, days. O and U are done. By using O and U, that is overheads and units, I was able to make 3 variances, right? Cost variance, expenditure variance and volume variance. Okay, and now I am using days. I ask you to work for like 25 days. I asked you to work for like in a factory, you have to work for 25 days. But actually you work for only 24. Obviously this is a complete loss for me, right? If I am asking you to work for 25 days and if you are only working for 24 days, obviously that is a loss for 1 day, right? So what is the budget rate per day? Per day it is 6 lakh divided by 25. This will mean 24,000 per day. 24,000 it is per day, right? तो एक दिन का तो लॉस हो गया, ये कंफर्म दिख के आ रहा है मुझे, राइट? सो 37,500 के व्हाट आई विल डू इज आई विल मेक 3 पार्ट्स. I'll make 3 parts for 37,500. Okay. I'll make 3 parts. What is the first part? Yes, what is the first part? The first part is calendar. Calendar variance. FOH calendar variance, right? So calendar mein what we check? Obviously the days, right? Calendar mein what we check? The days. Again standard minus actual, right? So it will be budgeted days minus actual days into recovery rate per day. Okay, recovery rate per day. So check how many budgeted days were there? 25, but actually you're working only for 24. Per day expenditure was 24. So can I say there is a loss of 24,000? Although the answer is positive, I'll write negative, that is adverse, right? This is not at all a favorable situation for me. I asked you to work for 25 days, but you are actually working for 24 days. Obviously, 1 day was a complete loss for me, right? So 24,000 is a loss. Okay, so this is first point. Okay, second point is capacity. Second point is capacity. How to compare capacity? Please pay attention. We have fixed over it, capacity variance. I asked you to check hours and days. Hours and days, right? Rule is standard hours minus actual hours into recovery rate per hour. This is the rule. Standard hours minus actual hours into recovery rate, right? The formula is very clear. The formula is very clear. Compare hours. Capacity check करनी है ना, you have to compare hours, right? So it is standard hours minus actual hours into recovery rate per hour. So I have taken hours, hours, hours. I have not taken units. It is only hours, right? But what is this standard hours? Actually, this is standard comparable. This is comparable. So what I do is I write the sentence like this. What is the sentence? Hours and days. So it will be standard hours in actual days. In actual days. So what we have to do is just write a bracket. Just write the bracket and write over there budget and actual. And this fourth point will always be a question mark. And यहाँ पे क्या लिखना है? Come reverse. First write days and then the hours. Days and then the hours. Right? Just copy paste. So I haven't given you the hours right now, but I'll add up to this. Hours will be given. HOURS. That is hours will be given. Let's say I give you 1 lakh hours. 1 lakh, and this was like 1,05,000. Okay, 1 lakh and 1 lakh 5. So what is the recovery rate? It will be 6 lakh divided by 1 lakh. So it will be rupees 6 per hour. It will be rupees 6 per hour, right? It is 1 lakh divided by 6 lakh divided by 1 lakh, right? It is rupees 6 per hour. Let's go ahead and I'll write over there. So how many days were budgeted? So it was 25. And how many actual days did you actually work? 24. Budgeted hours were 1 lakh. Budgeted hours were 1 lakh. That means cross multiply and you get the answer. 24 into 1 lakh divided by 25. This will give you 96,000. This will give you 96,000. So this is the first point, right? This is the first point. Now, if I ask you, what is the budget given to you? So you will tell, sir, we have to work for 25 days, we have to come for 25 days and we have to work for like 1 lakh hours. I said, okay. But actually, how many hours did you come? 24. You came here only for 24 days, right? So if I compare that, you should have worked only for 96,000 then. If 25 days is 1 lakh, so how much in 24 days? So you should have spent only 96,000, right? But actual hours, actually how many hours did you work? Actual hours is 1,05,000. Can I say you worked more than your capacity? You were actually supposed to sit only for 96,000 hours. Why 96,000? Because 25 is 1 lakh. How much should be 24? In 24 days, how many hours you should have spent? So it is only 96,000 hours, but you were actually spending 1,05,000 hours. Can I say you have spent more than your capacity? It is 1,05,000 hours, right? So 96 minus 1,05,000 will give me 9,000, right? 96 minus 1,05,000 will give me 9,000 and recovery rate per hour is 6. Can I say the answer is 54,000? But I will say this is not negative, this is actually favorable because you were supposed to sit like for 96,000, but you actually spent 1,05,000. Can I say you were working more than the capacity? The answer is yes. That is obviously a favorable situation for me. So even if the answer is negative, I am saying it is positive answer. That is favorable situation for me, right? Yes, there is the point clear now. After that, I'll come to the last variance, and the last variance is efficiency. The last variance is efficiency, that is fixed overhead efficiency variance. Fixed overhead efficiency variance. And now, how to compare the efficiency? I'll write over there units and hours. Units and hours, that means compare the units. Standard always comes first is the answer. So how will I write the formula? It will be standard units minus actual units into recovery rate per unit. Into recovery rate per unit. This is what I have written. Standard minus actual into recovery rate per unit, right? Compare the units, recovery rate also per unit. So this is what I am having right now, right? But what I have to do is I have to write the sentence like this. What is the sentence? The sentence goes something like this: standard units in actual hours. Standard units in actual hours, right? Again the table: budget, actual, question mark, and what you have to write? We have to write reverse. We'll write hours first and then the units, right? And now let's compare. How many hours were given to you? Hours. Budget and actual. How many hours were given? 1 lakh and 1,05,000. So I'll write over there 1 lakh and 1,05,000. How many units were given? Just check. Budgeted units. Units is the top line, right? The second line, this one. So it was 80,000 budget, right? 80,000 budget. So 80,000. And now cross multiply. It's 105 into 80 divided by 100. It is 84,000. It is 84,000. That means 84,000. Yes, 84,000 units you should have been made. You should be able to make 84, but because even if you are sitting for like 1,05,000 in that hours, proportionately you should have made 84,000. But how many units have you made actually? How many units have you made actually? Can I say you have made actually 85,000, which is actually more than effective, right? जितने घंटे आप बैठे थे 84,000 हो जाने चाहिए थे, राइट? जितने यूनिट्स, जितने आवर्स आप स्पेंड किए थे, जितने आवर्स आप बैठे थे 84,000 हो जाना चाहिए था, बट एक्चुअली यू मेड 85,000. You were supposed to make 84,000, but you are actually making 85,000. Obviously, there is a profit for me, right? This is a profit for me. This is a favorable situation. This is a favorable situation. That means 1,000 units you have made extra for me. And for one unit, it was 7.5 extra, right? It was 7.5 extra. And can I say, again, although the answer was coming negative, I will say this is positive situation for me. 7,500 favorable. Yes, okay. So this was the point. Now it's time to cross check. So it is favorable 54,000 plus favorable 7,500 minus 24,000 is adverse, and the answer is 37,500, which is the correct answer, right? Which is the correct answer. Okay. Please check. Are you getting fixed overhead variances? If you are getting the concept how I am going with the flow, it will be easy for you to, to calculate each and every variances. Obviously, there are certain few exceptions to it. There are a few points which you should know, but first of all, you should be able to calculate these 6 variances. Yes, is the point clear to everyone till here? Kuch nahi aa raha hai. If you are not getting anything, please let me know. I'll explain again with a different example. Okay, so I hope the point is clear, everyone. Yes, thank you, Chitra. Yes, thank you. Okay. Yes, Shruti, we will. Fixed overhead is the point jahan pe you need a lot of practice. Okay, so one question with me again. I'll be giving you like for 5 minutes and you need to solve. Okay, so this is budgeted data. Even if you refer the previous example, then also it will work. Budget, actual and RR. Yes. Thank you, Jigyasa. Okay, so it is overheads, units, days and hours. So it is OUDH, right? OUDH. For the first 3 variances, you always look at only the first 2 points. Okay, so please note this. Let's say this is 4 lakh given to you, and actually you spent like 5,40,000. The units you should have made is only 10,000 units, but actually you made 11,000 units. Okay, 11,000 units. Days were 25 and days were 24. Hours were 40,000 and hours were 42,000. Okay, so this is the question and I'm giving you 5 minutes. You need to calculate each and everything. Go ahead. Okay, you can start posting your answers. Whatever you are getting, cost, expenditure, volume, anything. Cost is 1 lakh adverse. Okay. 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 Yes, perfect answers. Move ahead. ओके, यहाँ तक तो सबके बराबर आ रहा है. Yes, good. Okay, till here it is very simple. The main game is over here only, capacity and efficiency. Let's see कौन आंसर देता है. Okay, 36. Okay, so I'm also getting 36. Let's see others. Yes, perfect answers. Yes, Shivani, correct answer. Good. Okay, so everyone is getting the same answer. I hope the point is clear then. The fixed overhead concept is completely clear then. What values you have to take, what you have to compare. Okay, yes, great answers. Don't just copy paste. Huh? If you're not getting, feel free to ask. I'll explain again. Yes, efficiency आ रहा है क्या सबका चेक करो. Are you getting the efficiency also? Please check everyone. Okay. Sipani, please check. It is favorable. It is favorable. Please check once. If you are getting it negative, that means the answer is favorable, because from volume the answer gets reversed. Calendar. Okay. Okay, Sumedha, I'll teach you again. Okay. Yes, Sivani, now it's correct. Okay, one more minute and then we'll continue. Okay, so there's one request to check the calendar variance again, and even if you're not getting capacity and efficiency, please let me know. Okay, so what is calendar exactly, beta? Calendar means days. What is calendar? Calendar means days. That means the difference of days, right? That means the difference of days. So it will be budgeted days minus actual days. Calendar is nothing but the difference of days. Okay. Shruti, not the chart format, but you have to present it paragraph wise. I'll just tell you how to present. Budgeted data is minus actual data, actual days into recovery rate per day, because we are taking the day wise rate, right? Day and day. So we have to take the recovery rate per day. So if you go there at the table and just check, it is 4 lakh divided by 25. So it is how much you are spending per day? It is 4 lakh divided by 25. That means you are spending 16,000 per day. That is the recovery rate. That is the recovery rate, right? You are spending 16,000 per day. Now I am asking you to work for like 25 days, but you are working only for 24 days. That means you are wasting one day for me, right? One day the loss will be 16,000, and therefore the answer will be 16,000 adverse. So what is the budgeted days? 25 minus 24 into 16,000. This will give the answer as 16,000 adverse. This is a complete loss for me, right? Okay. Yes, perfect. Yes, thank you, Sibani. Okay, so 16,000 to aa gaya yahan par. Now, what I'm telling you is how to present. Yes, you can present the data like this only: budgeted, actual, and RR. Right? This is what you have to make first. This is what you have to make first, right? O, U, D, H. This is the table, and this you can present, right? But you cannot draw like this. You cannot draw charts like this. So what you have to do is, first you have to make cost variance, then expenditure, then volume, then separate. That means whatever you have to do is a complete paragraph. You cannot draw like this. But to cross check afterwards, रफ में ये जरूर बना लेना कि the answers are matching or not. Okay. Yes, Shriman, perfect answers. Okay, so let's check out the questions from our sheet now. Okay. So question number 26. I'm reading out. Please hand it. The cost detail of J&G for the month of September is as follows. Fixed overhead. Can I say I'm getting the word O? The word is budgeted, the word is actual. The same thing which I need, right? Okay. So I got O. Next is units of production. Can I say I got U? इसके बाद मैं देखूंगा भी नहीं. इसके बाद मुझे देखना नहीं कुछ. I got O and I got U, right? What I'll do is I'll go over there and I'll start writing budgeted and actuals. Budget and actual and RR. What I want is O, overhead, and what I want is U, that is units. First of all, I need only this two data to calculate the first three variances, right? O and U. Okay. I'll go to overheads. Overheads kitna hai beta? 15 lakh and 15 lakh 60,000. I'll write over there 15 lakh and 15 lakh 60,000. What are the units? Units are 7,500 and 7,800. Okay, I'll write over there units 7,500 and 7,800, right? Okay, and now it's time to calculate the three variances. So 15 lakh divided by 7,500 will give me how much? 15 lakh divided by 7,500 will give me 200. Can I say it is rupees 200 per unit? Right, it is rupees 200 per unit, that is the recovery rate. Okay, so how much should have been made actually? It is 7,800 into 200, 15 lakh 60. Okay, I am getting the cost variance as 0 itself. But ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, जो दिया है उन्होंने. It is 7,800 into 200. That means you should have spent 1560 and you actually have spent 1560 itself. And therefore, the cost variance is 0. Okay, Devya, I'll explain you once again. Not to worry. Okay, so it is 15 lakh 1560 and 7,500 and 7,800. If you cross check, you are getting the answer as 0, which is completely okay. You can get 0 answers also. Okay, there is no variance. Fixed overhead cost variance. How to calculate cost? It is 200 into 7,800 minus 1560. Right? So this will give me the answer as 0. This will give me the answer as 0 and it's completely okay. Okay. Now, this is divided into two parts. This is divided into two parts. The first part is expenditure. Expenditure is the easiest one, is the very easiest one. How much extra did you spend? Okay. How much extra did you spend? 15 and 1560. Can I say you have spent 60,000 extra? Right. So it is 60,000 extra you are spending, which is adverse one. 60,000 is adverse, right? Obviously, the volume has to be 60,000 favorable because I have to match the answer as 0. 60 minus and 60 plus will give me the answer as 0, right? So volume has to be 60. This thing is for sure. But how to calculate the volume? I have told you to take the difference of units, and I have told you to that the game gets reversed over here. Reverse hoga, right? Okay, the volume is difference of units. So I let the formula as budgeted units minus actual units into recovery rate per unit. What are the budgeted units? If you check, it's 7,500 minus 7,800. So it's 7,500 minus 7,800 into 200 will give me the answer as 60,000. Although I am getting a negative answer, but I will say it is still favorable for me. So I am getting the answer and it is getting matched, right? So this is the first point. So for first three variances, what data I am taking is O and U. That's it. Overheads and units. Okay. Moving ahead. अब यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा ध्यान दीजिए. I don't have D with me, and if you cross check, if you read the entire question, they haven't asked capacity. Oh, sorry, calendar. I'm so sorry. They haven't asked calendar. Why they haven't asked calendar? Because they have not given the days. So can I say they haven't asked because there was no variance in it. That means if I take the budgeted days as 25, the actual days must have been 25 itself. The days was 25 and actually you worked only for 25. So was there any difference? Was there any variance? The answer is no. So you can assume by yourself also, or else you can skip that part. D hai nahi hamare paas, right? But just to make the concept clear, what I am doing is I am taking an assumption for days. Why they have not given the days? Because there was no variance in it. So I am taking the days as 25. Now you will say, sir, 25 ही लेना चाहिए क्या? Is it compulsory to take 25? The answer is no. You can take 30, you can take 20, you can take 10, you can take only 2 also. Any damn thing. But the problem is you have to take the same thing because there was no variance involved in it. Okay. So I am taking days as assumed figure. Take 25 and 25 itself. That's it. There is no variance. There is no difference in it, right? So what will this be? 15 lakh divided by 25. So it will be 15 lakh divided by 25. So the answer is 60,000 per day. 60,000 per day. Okay. 60,000 per day. Aage. So what is the first thing which we do? This is calendar. Can I say there was no difference? Calendar means what? Calendar means days. Calendar means days. So we just have to take the difference of days, right? Standard always comes first. So the formula will become budgeted days minus actual days into recovery rate per day. Now, actually, this is not required for this question, but I am just making the concept clear. Okay. So what were the budgeted days? 25. What were the actual days? 25. That means there was no difference. The answer is 0. The answer is 0. Yes. So I got the first point. Now comes the important point. Okay. So what is the next point which we have to calculate? The answer is capacity. The answer is capacity. Okay. So please pay attention. Capacity. So what we comparing capacity beta? Please ध्यान दीजिए. It is hours and days. What I have written? Hours and days. That means it is standard hours minus actual hours. What we are taking? The difference of hours. Standard hours minus actual hours. Standard always comes first. This is the point which you have studied, right? And capacity will be checked on the basis of hours, the number of hours you are sitting in front of me. Capacity is that thing, right? Efficiency is you are working or not. Capacity is you are sitting or not. You are spending the hours, right? So standard hours minus actual hours into recovery rate per hour. Into recovery rate per hour, I am taking hours, right? Standard minus actual. Standard always comes first. Standard hours minus actual hours. Okay. So this is the point. Now, what is the point? I have to write this in like this, in this format. Just go with the flow. So what I am writing is standard hours in actual days. Standard hours in actual days. Okay. Standard hours in actual days. After that, what I am doing is I will write budget, I will write actual, and fourth will be the question mark. The fourth is the question mark, right? And यहाँ पे क्या लिखना है? यहाँ पे. So what you have to write? Just go reverse. First write the days and then the hours. It is days and hours. Now, if I go to this table, what I'm actually asking is, actually asking is, if this is hours, right? I am asking you to calculate like this. This is also given. This will be given. I am asking you to calculate the fourth figure, days and hours. So what I have to write is just copy paste this, but I have to cross multiply. Right? So hours check कर लेते हैं कितना दिया है बेटा. So question number 26. What is the hours given? Standard time for 1 unit is 2 hours. That means for making 1 unit you require 2 hours. Okay. This is the budget data. So how many units were given? 7,500. So the sentence goes clearly. They have given clear data. For 1 unit, you require 2 hours. For 7,500 units, how many hours? So can I say it will be 15,000 hours? Right? We have given the table. For 1 unit, they are spending 2 hours, right? They need 2 hours. This is the standard given to us, right? So for 7,500, how many units will be required? So how many hours will be required? So it is 15,000. Okay. And actual hours they have given. Actual hours worked is 16,000. Actual hours worked is 16,000. So I'll write over there 16,000. Right? Okay. And now it won't make much difference in this question. So it is 25 days and 25 days. This is what I have taken, right? Hours will be 15,000. Hours will be 15,000. But actual hours are 16,000. Right? So what is the difference? Difference is of 1,000. What is the recovery rate per hour? I will calculate the rate first. It is 15 lakh divided by 15,000. 15 lakh divided by 15,000. So it is 15 lakh divided by 15,000. This will give me the answer as 100 rupees per hour. 100 per hour. Okay. So I'll go over there. I'll write over there 100 into 100. Right. Okay. So this comes to 1 lakh. Can I say the answer is favorable? Yes. Why favorable? Please check. I asked you to work for 15,000 hours, but actually you are working for 16,000 hours. If the labor is working more than the capacity, obviously that is a favorable situation for me. Even if I am getting 15 minus 16 is minus 1,000, I will write the answer as positive figure because that is 1 lakh, right? Yes, 1 lakh favorable. Okay. After that, I will shift to efficiency. The third point in this is efficiency. The third point in this is efficiency. How to calculate efficiency? Efficiency is always compared by units. So what I'll write over there, standard units minus actual units into recovery rate per unit. This is very simple. So I have the actual units, I have the recovery rate per unit, standard units. Now what I'll do is I'll compare standard units and hours. So what is the sentence I have to write? The sentence is standard units in actual hours. Standard units in actual hours, right? And then I'll make the table. Budgeted, actual, the fourth will be question mark. Right? So what I have to write is, and now write reverse thing. First write hours and then write units. Just go to the table and write the budget and actual hours. The hours were 15,000 and 16,000. I'll go over there and I'll write the hours first, 15,000 and 16,000. And units दिया है कि वहाँ पे check करो units, budgeted units. Unit was the second point, right? Units कितना है? Budgeted units 7,500. Just go and write there 7,500 and then cross multiply. And then just make the cross multiplication. So it is 7,500 into 16,000 divided by 15,000. This will give me 8,000. This will give me the answer as 8,000, right? 8,000 units you must have been produced, right? You should have produced 8,000 units, but actually how many units you have produced? Actually you have only produced only 7,800, right? So can I say this is not a favorable situation for me? Because the time you have spent over here, you should have actually made 8,000 units, but you have actually made only 7,800 units, right? So can I say you have made 200 units less? What is the rate per unit? If you go per unit, if you check per unit rate was 200 into 200 will give me the answer as 40,000. Into 200 will give me the answer as 40,000. Can I say it is adverse situation? Yes, correct answers. Archit, Shivani, Sibani, Ayushi. Yes, correct answers. Yes, correct. Yes, Devya, please tell me. Is the point clear now? Yes, I know, because there are many faculties which don't teach this method. They go with the formulas, budgeted overheads minus absorbed overheads minus actual overheads, whatever the case is, or else 1 minus 2, 2 minus 3, 3 minus 4 as given in your study material. I don't follow those methods because I feel this is conceptual clarity. Why we are taking efficiency, why we are taking capacity, what do we have to compare, right? So I use this method for. Yes, Devya, please tell me, is the point clear? Okay then. So this was question number 25 for us, right? Okay, and it's time for homework questions. Because fixed overhead mein na, if you want a grip, you have to practice, right? I'm making my own questions, I'm making it because I've done more than 100 times, and that's why I'm able to make that questions by myself, and then I'm doing it right very fluently. So what you have to do is you have to take a bit of practice for this, and these are only practice questions. Okay, so question number 27 will be homework for you, right? It is a similar question which we did right now. 27 will be homework for you, and 30 will be homework for you. Okay, so these are the two questions जो आपको homework करने बेटा. So today the homework will be for question number 27 and homework will be question number 30. Yes, please make sure you are solving, and